What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pick Swap Media YouTube channel. My name is Sean Bernard as usual, and I'm excited to announce that for this video, we have partnered with WHOP.com, WHOP.com. WHOP is an all-in-one marketplace for sports communities and other digital products. If you're looking to find communities on all things sports, sports capping, sports betting, and sports fandom, head to WHOP.com/sports. They're the all-in-one digital marketplace, the Amazon of the future for digital products. I'm incredibly proud and excited to be partnering, so make sure to go check that out. You can click the link in our description and our comments. Thank you to WAP for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys for tuning in.
Jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game. Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
Hello and welcome back to 215 Scoop Podcast. We're back here the morning after the huge Eagles win last night against the Giants in the NFC divisional round. They won 38-7 on the 5-year anniversary of the NFC Championship game back in 2017 when we also beat the Vikings 38-7. So I think that's pretty cool. But outside of that, this is probably dream level kind of stuff that we saw last night, like just pure dominance from the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts last night returned to his MVP form after shoulder injury. His passing stats don't really stick out too much, but he went 16 for 24 for 154 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing. I think he had 1 rushing as well. QBR was 112. Just a lot went well for the Eagles this game. With the rushing game, they ran for 268 on the Giants. Kenneth Gainwell, a very big surprise this game, ran for 112 and got a touchdown. We got Miles Sanders with 90 yards. And, of course, Boston Scott strikes again. The Giants Slayer, he's got, 19 total career touchdowns, and he's got 11 or 12 against the Giants now.
And if I heard correctly on the broadcast, they said that is the highest percentage of any player's career touchdowns against one team. So he really lives up to that Giant Slayer nickname.
Yeah, really. He really does.
The passing stats from Jalen Hurts don't really pop out. A.J. Brown, I think he had 3 catches, so pretty pedestrian day passing, but they didn't have to pass. Like you said, Kenneth Gainwell, 112 yards on 12 rushes, so almost 10 yards a carry for Gainwell. I mean, the rushing offense, it just seemed like they would get hit like 5 yards ahead of the line of scrimmage and push for another 3-4 every play. It was just pretty dominant showing from the offensive line and the running backs.
Yeah, a big surprise was Lane Johnson. Big question mark going into this game was how is Lane Johnson going to look? Well, judging by the Eagles' rushing performance, I don't think that's really a concern to this point. I mean, obviously we're all going to keep an eye on it, see how it ages, and see how things go there. But after last night, I mean, was that our most dominant performance this season? Was that the best performance we put on this season?
It's definitely up there. I mean, I would say it's either that or the Titans game.
Yeah.
In terms of going into a game where we're expected to keep a close game with a tough opponent and we just kind of blow them out. I mean, also the first Giants game is up there as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I think given the stakes of this game, moving on to the NFC Championship game, I mean, now the Eagles are 1 win away from their second Super Bowl appearance in 5 years. And that's incredible, honestly. Just considering what this team's been through. But anyway, Eagles get to Daniel Jones about 5 times. Just more cool stats about the game. Eagles just dominated. To talk specifically about this game, Asher, I want to ask you, what is the most impressive aspect of this game? Like Nick Sirianni's coaching was on point, the play calling was on point, the defense was on point. Everything was just it ran super well last night. Everything looked great. So, what is the most impressive aspect of last night's game to you, Asher?
I have 2 that I think are tied. I think number 1 is what we already talked about, the rushing offense. You know, that Giants rushing defense is no joke. Dexter Lawrence probably the best nose tackle in the game, one of the best run defenders in the game. Jason Kelsey kind of made short work of him. The other thing is, like you said, the Daniel Jones getting to him 5 times. Not only that, though, it seemed like every play he was under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Even the few times where the defensive line didn't make immediate pressure, we kind of had those receivers blanketed.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have like 5 seconds to throw,
right,
a lot of time, and just nowhere to go with it, and then the defense would start collapsing it. So just a great kind of the pass rush and the pass coverage kind of playing off of each other. I thought was really impressive.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about the defense and just different parts of the team, I want to talk about the 2017 team that went all the way. And I want to ask you if you think that this team has the ability to go all the way. Like, 2 questions in one almost. I'm trying to ask you, like, do you think this team has what it takes to beat a team like the 49ers and maybe beat a team like the Bengals or the Bills in the Super Bowl? Do you think this team has what it takes after seeing what you saw last night?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think we talked about it in our last episode.
Yeah.
I really think that we are the best team in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if right now if we have the firepower to beat the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals. I mean, I think we definitely. I know once you get to the Super Bowl, you have a puncher's chance either way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Even if we are facing a superior team, we've seen us in the Super Bowl versus better team before.
Yeah.
But I think the pass defense or the pass rush is kind of the same level that we had before. I think this is the best back 4, back 7, including the linebackers that we've seen in Philadelphia in a long time.
Yeah, I think this team has a lot of traits that 2017 team had, except they're even better in some aspects, like the linebacker position. I would argue that they're better at the linebacker position, like you just mentioned. Like in the Super Bowl run back in 2017, 2018, we were talking about that front 4, front 5, and really we only had like 2, 3 guys that were like really like tough pass rushers and would get to the quarterback. And what we had like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Chris Long. Those are like the 3 big
That was decent. That was his rookie season.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at this defensive line, it's historically good. Like we touched on before, last week, this was the first team to have 4 players go into double digits in sacks. This team was one sack short of tying the all-time record for most sacks by a team in a year. And I think that makes them two sacks short. Correct me if I'm wrong, Asher, but I believe that's what.
I don't know what the record is. I know that we were 15 sacks more than any other team this year, which is just crazy. We also, by the way, 18th in the league in blitz percentage. So not sending a lot of guys, but just consistently seeing pressure, consistently seeing sack. We were actually first in the league in sacks, obviously. We were actually second in the league in pressure percentage, which is just crazy for a team that's 18th in blitz percentage.
Right. Yeah, and that's the beauty of this defensive line. You don't have to bring pressure. You don't have to call blitzes for them to bring pressure. You could probably run zone defense and have 3 people rushing and still get a decent amount of pressure on the quarterback. So,
Great havoc up front. That's like a 2-way street though. That also speaks to the dominance of our cornerbacks and our safeties. TJ Edwards has been great in pass coverage this season. You're White, solid in coverage.
Super underrated. I want to shout out TJ Edwards for the incredible job he's done at linebacker this year. I think he started last year. Was towards the end of the season, or
last year linebacker was kind of just a constantly revolving door. We were just seeing a lot of different guys. Nobody was really making an impact. This year, TJ Edwards, I believe, was the PFF. He was either on their first team or second team All-Pro, which isn't official, but I mean PFF is pretty well respected around all the year.
Yeah, exactly. So, but huge shout out to him for the incredible job he's done. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit there. I mean, we're all here talking about the defensive line and how that is, but the linebackers are extremely important as well. I know, like they bring pressure, they run coverage. I think TJ Edwards has been absolutely fantastic. One of the best linebackers to come through here. One name, and we'll talk about this when we do our season recap. But Nakobe Dean, whatever happened to him?
Yeah, probably a blessing in disguise for him. I think didn't really seem in preseason like he was ready to start at linebacker. And with the emergence of guys like Edwards and White, he just really hasn't had to. So, I mean, I think he just gets to sit back and he gets to watch one of the best defenses in football come in every once in a while, come in on special teams. I think that's really going to help him grow.
Yeah.
And we don't really need him to be an instant impact starter this season.
We really are. So, anyway, I wanted to compare this team to the 2017 team. So, if you remember back then, we were both sophomores in high school. We watched the NFC Championship together that year, right? And then divisional round. Am I wrong? I remember Casey's place.
That was the NFC Championship. I don't remember where I watched the divisional round, to be honest.
Oh, I might have been at my place because my dad's a Falcons fan.
I might have been at my house too.
Yeah. So anyway, thinking back to then and thinking now, what kind of differences and similarities do you see with this team compared to back in 2017?
I mean, I think the defense, like we said already, the defensive line pretty much on par with that defensive line. Offensive line still probably the best in the league. And I think, I think Hurts kind of brings some of that rushing ability and escapability that Wentz brought. The offense was very different when Foles came in.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, like we still run a lot of the RPOs that we were running that year with Foles.
I think we were running a lot of RPOs, but obviously since it's Nick Foles, he was just opting to pass.
Yeah. The RPO did not involve Nick Foles running.
No.
So we kind of have a triple threat where Hurts can hand off, take off himself, or pass, which has another dimension that Foles didn't have, obviously.
So you're saying that this offense is much more dynamic than the team that went on the run back in 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go as far to say that this is the best offense that the Eagles have seen in probably in the 21st century.
Really?
At least since I've been watching the Eagles.
Okay. Does it beat the 2010 Michael Vick, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy team? Because that was widely regarded as like the best offense in the league that year. So I just want to bring that up. In 2010, do you remember that?
I do. I mean, I think if you look at it position by position, we have the best offensive line in the league. Miles Sanders is not LaShawn McCoy, but I mean, I don't think Michael Vick, correct me if I'm wrong, was getting MVP votes that year.
No.
Like, at some points this year, it really looked like Hurts was the front runner to win MVP. AJ Brown, a better receiver than Maclin or Jackson was at any point in their career. I think that's pretty easy to say.
Okay.
And Devonta Smith could probably be the number one wide receiver on a lot of other teams.
You make a lot of good points, and I agree. I just wanted to bring that up and just remind you of that team and see if you even thought about the team before you made that.
I would think if I was going to pick another team to be up there, it'd probably be the 04
Eagles. The 04, yeah, with Terrell Owens
championship.
Yeah.
But I was like 3 years old when that happened. So I can say pretty confidently that this is the best offense.
Yeah, it's one of the most dynamic offenses I've ever seen. I think it kind of reminds me of that early 2010 Seahawks team. Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch. Their wide receiver, he might be even better than them because we actually have wide receivers. I mean, I don't know who were their wide receivers on that team.
I think they had Jermaine Kearse, Sidney Rice.
Yeah, Sidney. I don't know. I don't remember.
Was he still on the Vikings? I don't know, but I mean, they had a lot of solid receivers. I don't think they had an All-Pro the way that we have AJ Brown.
I'm just trying to find a good comparison to this offense, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
In the meantime, last night, I was really, really happy. I was scrolling through Twitter just to soak in the win and see all the Eagles fans talking trash to Giants fans. And I came by a few videos of Giants fans or NFL fans in general. I don't know if it was a Giants fan or an NFL fan, but they were making fun or getting angry at Nick Sirianni for his behavior on the sideline last night. I mean, if you're watching the broadcast on Fox, he was very like he was hyped. Like he was, I mean, as he should be. I mean, he just be a division rival 38-7. But he's facing a lot of criticism for like being cocky. He was called a douchebag. All this stuff. So I saw that and I was a bit perplexed as to like why he's getting that lashback for acting like that way. I mean, he's he's a head coach of a team that just destroyed a division rival to move on to the NFC Championship game. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is here. But I just want to talk to you. I don't know if you saw those videos or anything, but
I didn't see any of that backlash. I saw there was some discourse about his being like basically right on the goal line as he was calling that timeout right before the Boston Scott touchdown. And then he kind of had a little spat with an official.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think people like read his lips, and he said, "I know what the F I'm doing. I'm allowed to be down here." To the official, who I guess told him, "You can't come all the way down to the goal line to call a timeout." I don't know, but I mean, clearly he was fired up the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, this was huge. This is huge for Nick. This is his first playoff win. Mind you, Jalen Hurts' first playoff win. Yeah. I mean, we're acting like this team is like super good, but like this is like first for a lot of the players on this team. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Actually, not AJ Brown. AJ Brown won a few. Never mind. But
yeah, think back to that team that got crushed by the Buccaneers just in the wild card last season.
Yeah. No, this is a new feeling for a lot of those players, and it's got to feel good. It's really got to feel good. But enough. Sadly, we have to stop our talk with the Eagles. Moving on today. Today's Sunday. We have two games on. We have a game on an hour and a half at 3 o'clock. We got the Bengals versus the Bills. The Bills are favored by 5.5 at home. We got the Cowboys and the 49ers tonight. The game we will both be watching very intently. Hopefully you guys as well. 49ers are favored by 4 at home. So a few things. Asher, what are your predictions for these two games? And then specifically talking about that 49ers game and Cowboys game, who would you like to see in that matchup win and face us in the NFC Championship?
I've been thinking about it like even earlier than this week. I don't want to say that I thought it was a given that we would beat the Giants, but obviously a lot of us were looking forward to the Cowboys Eagles NFC Championship.
Yeah,
possibility of that. I really don't. I can't find a preference. I feel like these are two very similar teams. Good defenses. The Cowboys' rushing offenses are coming alive now. They've been kind of Tony Pollard has jumped over Ezekiel Elliott for that RB1 status. I think I would rather face the 49ers based on. I think Dak and Zeke have a little more playoff experience. I'm not good playoff experience necessarily, but they've been to the playoffs a few times. McCarthy has won the Super Bowl as a head coach. I think I would rather see a team that is starting a rookie quarterback in the Niners. I know the rest of that team is very well-rounded. Outside of quarterback, probably the most talented team in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan, excellent coach. But honestly, no disrespect to Brock Purdy. He's a rookie quarterback starting like his 7th, 8th game. He's going to have to come to Philly for the NFC Championship. I kind of like our odds better with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The only thing that scares me with the 49ers is that defense of theirs. Their offense can be dynamic with Christian McCaffrey there. But I like seeing the 49ers here. But honestly, from an entertainment perspective, like just for all NFL viewers, for Eagles fans, I'm not saying I'm going to root for the Cowboys, but man, I would love a freaking Eagles-Cowboys NFC Championship game. Could you imagine the like stakes and like social media and how Twitter would be for the next week if the Cowboys won tonight? If the Cowboys won. Now, mind you, the Cowboys have not had good luck against the 49ers lately, but say if that happens, and honestly, I would love to see it happen. I would hate to see the Cowboys win. I would love to see them lose. But at the same time, Eagles-Cowboys NFC Championship game would be a dream. But all that comes down to is if we win, it feels magnificent. But if we lose, then it's got to be like the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
What are your thoughts on that, Ashley? What are your thoughts on that?
I have a little bit of a hot take for you, honestly.
Ooh, a hot take. Okay.
I feel like this year, forget all our past history with the Cowboys. I think this year I dislike the 49ers just as much as I dislike the Cowboys. Let me tell you why.
Why?
So obviously, we know they're on a 10-game. I think after the wildcard weekend 11-game win streak. You say
11 or 12.
Yeah. Brock Purdy, we know he's undefeated as 49er, or just in his NFL career. Now, the 49ers, by basically every metric, have had the easiest strength of schedule in the league this year. Remember all the shit the Eagles were getting for the strength of schedule in the beginning of the season? I haven't heard a peep about the Niners. The 3 easiest strength of schedules in the league, let me tell you. Number 1, the 49ers.
That's a really, really good point. I want to pull up the schedule and just go through.
Yeah, but
what?
Number 2 is us. The 3rd easiest schedule in the league, the Dallas Cowboys. Guess what? The NFC sucks. All of us have had to play bad NFC teams.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear about the Eagles haven't played anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait till they face the Niners. I mean, I think the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners are all kind of on equal grounds as far as talent goes.
So the last Niners loss, and then, mind you, this is the same Niners team that lost to the Falcons in October.
Yeah.
They lost to the Broncos in September.
10-11.
They lost to the Bears this season. So on their 10-game win streak, I want to just go through this because that's a really good point, Asher. I did not even think about that. So since October 23rd, when they lost to the Chiefs, they've beaten the Rams, they've beaten the Chargers, they've beaten the Cardinals, they've beaten the Saints, they've beaten the Dolphins, they've beaten the Bucs, they've beaten the Seahawks, they've beaten the Commanders, they've beaten the Raiders, and they've beaten the Cardinals.
I count 2 decent teams on that list. Chargers, Dolphins.
Chargers and Dolphins. If you want to count Bucs,
yeah.
I mean, like
I wouldn't.
But nobody's saying anything about it. That's a really good point, Asher. I'm actually like, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah. And I feel like Niners fans are just as annoying on social media as Cowboys fans.
I think they're just obnoxious because they're both teams that have last seen, well, 49ers luckily have seen a little bit more success since the 90s, but they are both teams that were really good in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
So you have all those fans that, like, they're the 2 bandwagon fans. I mean, I don't know. Like, those are the 2 bandwagon teams in the NFL, in my opinion. Like, you see people probably in Philadelphia that are Niners fans and Cowboys fans. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams. Like,
I see your point, but just for the sake of a rivalry, like, that'd be a hell of a matchup. Eagles, Cowboys, NFC Championship game. But matchup-wise, I would like to see the 49ers. I'm not that scared of the 49ers defense, considering, like we just talked about, how dynamic this Eagles offense is. So the Niners defense doesn't really scare me, considering we have the best offensive line in the league. So, anyway, that aside, let's talk about this Bengals-Bills a little bit right before we go back. We had to do our final predictions. But just before we go, let's go through the 2 matches that we're going to watch later today. First up, Bengals-Bills. Bills favored by 5.5 at home. Thoughts on that game, Asher?
I think I got the Bengals covering. What was it, 5.5? You said?
Yeah.
Yep. I think the Bengals are going to cover. I think the Bills are going to win. I'd say somewhere around like a 30-27 game, 28-24 kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely. I give the Bengals a shot for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a very emotional game. I don't know if DeMar Hamlin's going to be in attendance for this game. He might. But this, again, we all know what happened a few weeks back when these 2 teams faced off on Monday Night Football. Absolute tragedy struck, but very emotional stakes as well as just high stakes in general. I mean, this is the AFC Championship. So I agree with you, Asher. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I'm going to give the Bills the edge at home here. I think that crowd is going to be fired up. Again, this game is just a rematch of the DeMar Hamlin thing. So I really think the Bills crowd is going to be really into it, and I think that's really going to carry the Bills over. So I got the Bills winning by 3 by a score of 27-24. And a last-minute drive by Josh Allen to kick a field goal and win it. All right, very specific predictions, but we'll see how that ages. Cowboys versus 49ers, a rematch of last year's wild card matchup. We got, was it wild card divisional? Wild card, right?
Wild card,
yeah. Okay, Niners are favored by 4 at home. We just talked about this game a bunch. What do you think is going to happen, Ash?
I like the Cowboys to cover and win.
Okay.
Like I said, I mean, maybe I'm putting too much stock into the couple playoff games and eventual collapses that the Dak and Zeke era has seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I said, Mike McCarthy, a lot of experience, won the Super Bowl in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive coordinator Dan, I'm blanking on the name. He used to be the Falcons head coach. Dan Quinn, yeah. Excellent defensive coordinator. Probably going to earn himself another head coaching job over the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
That defense, by the way, the Eagles are second in pressure percentage, like I said. Number one is the Dallas Cowboys. And they blitz. They really don't blitz a whole lot more than we do. So also just an exceptional defensive line there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know how talented that defense is on every position, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think they match with the Niners pretty favorably.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, final score prediction for Cowboys-Niners.
I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring affair. I'm going to say Cowboys win like 20-14.
Mm-hmm. I'm right. I'm right where you are. I think this game is a definition of a game in the trenches. I mean, Cowboys, no doubt, they have one of the better offensive lines in the league. Niners have one of the best defensive lines. Same with the Cowboys. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be low scoring as we have two pretty dominant defenses going up against some sputtering offenses. So I think it's going to be like, I would say 17-13, like that. I would go as far as there. But I guess we'll see what happens. But I like the Cowboys here. I'll take the Cowboys. I think Brock Purdy's little magical fairy run comes to an end. He's a rookie quarterback going up against a team with a lot more experience, bad or good, more experience. So I'm going to take the experienced team here. Cowboys win. As much as it hurts me to say it, Cowboys win here by 4. So we'll see. But so that's gonna wrap us up here today at 215 Scoop. Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on all social media, on TikTok at 215 Scoop, on Twitter and Instagram at 215 Scoop PSM. More content coming to you guys there. As always, hit subscribe and the notification bell down below. We have merch if you guys would like to grab some down and it's in the link in the bio. And that should be about it. Asher, any last thoughts?
No. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Looking forward to next week. We'll be back again later this week to preview whoever the Birds will be playing in the NFC Championship game. Huge weekend next weekend. That'll do it. Thank you and goodbye. Go Birds.